Hello students, welcome back to Prepon. These days we are discussing certain key words and phrases in Indian polity, and I told you their full understanding is very necessary for qualifying the examination. I told you whether it is prelims stage or mains or interview, their understanding plays a very important role. So far as polity is concerned, I discussed with you what is constitution, what is written constitution, what is an unwritten constitution. In the last class, we discussed what is separation of powers. We discussed that three organs are there in a democratic system. Executive is there, legislature is there, and judiciary is there. And their functions are demarcated. They have functional autonomy. Their functional autonomy does not mean that one of them can become supreme. None can become supreme is the intention of theory of separation of power as given by who? Montesquieu. In the absolute governmental system in France, Montesquieu devised this particular theory in his book, Spirit of Laws. So when we say separation of powers is there, first meaning is this, that there should be functional distribution of power among the three organs. At the same time, they should also work in constructive collaboration, because unless all the three organs collaborate, there cannot be any good governance, because governance is such a complicated function that their powers overlap. And hence, unless they coordinate with each other well, there cannot be any good governance. Yet they keep an eye on each other so that none can become supreme. It also entails the concept of checks and balances. We discussed this. Now today let us discuss a very important concept of Indian polity, that is called rule of law. It is very important. Rule of law is such an important phrase in Indian polity or political science or in any political system. Without knowing the full meaning of rule of law or without full application of rule of law, it is difficult to obtain good governance in any political system. So let us try to explore the meaning of the phrase rule of law. In the phrase rule of law, a word law is used. When we use the word law, in general we use the word law, what we simply mean? We simply mean that the Cabinet of India has framed a particular law, bill. It is passed in the parliament by debates and discussions, and after obtaining a certain majority which is mentioned in the constitution, the law is passed. When we say this, we simply mean it is the procedural aspect of the law making. But when we use the word law in this phrase, we have got different implications, we have got different meanings. So when we use the word law, first of all, the first intention is that it should be simply worded, meaning thereby the use of words should not be ambiguous. That is, it should be intelligible. The use of words in the law should not be so complicated that it is giving more than one meaning, it is giving good number of meanings, because if it is so, it will lead to manipulation, and if manipulation of law is there, the law will not be able to fulfill its intended function. So it should be so simply worded that it should be comprehended by even the meanest of the person, and its application should not be subject to its handlers. It should not be manipulated by the lawyers or by the courts. So it should be simple in its use of words, meaning thereby its intention should reach easily to the people, is one important thing, that it should be simply worded. Another important feature of the word law in phrase rule of law is what? I am citizen of India, but I am not well educated. My means are also not sufficient enough. Even though my rights are getting violated, or I am not getting the benefits of the development in the country, these things are happening, and I am not able to go to the court of law for redressal of my grievances. Is it the meaning of the word law in the rule of law? No, it cannot be, because if the reach of law is not, you can say, if the law is not accessible to everybody, then also there cannot be any rule of law. It should be accessible to everybody, even the meanest of the citizen. even the person who has the most meager resources should have equal reach to the law. It should not be in the ambit of those who are well educated or those who have, you can say, sufficient means to hire the lawyers or go to the court of law. If the system is such, if the justice system is such, if the legal system is such that those who are weaker sections in the society, because of their disabilities of any sort, they are not able to reach the legal system or have the benefit of, you can say, courts for their, you can say, for redressal of the grievances, then also we cannot say that there is rule of law. The second important feature of the word law is that it should be accessible to everybody. Everybody should be equally placed so that having the benefit of law is concerned. Third important feature is, which is most important, is this, that the framing of the law is based on the ideals of equity and justice. If the law is framed by the parliament and the application of law does not lead to the establishment of equality, justice, liberty, then also there is no application of rule of law. Law should be intentioned at establishing good governance, and good governance can be attained only when all the citizens, irrespective of any kind of distinction, are able to achieve liberty, equality, fullest socio-economic development. So whenever law is framed, the framers of the law should keep all these three things into consideration. If the law is framed by the parliament and these things are not available in the law, then the law can be understood only in its simple meaning, that is, it is procedurally passed by the parliament, but the substantive aspect of the law is missing. Substantive aspect of the law means that the law ultimately should do the benefit of the people. It should lead to the socio-economic development or betterment or well-being of the citizens of the country. If this intention is fulfilled, only then we can say there may be established rule of law. So when we use the word law in this phrase, we mean these three important things. This is one important consideration. Now, as we know, A.V. Dicey has given his own definition of rule of law. In Laws of the Constitution, he describes, he says there are three important characteristics of rule of law. What are these? First of all, there should be supremacy of the law. None of the organ in the political system is supreme. What is supreme is law. That is, none except law is supreme. In the ancient medieval times, we used to say whatever king used to say was the law. The words of the king used to become the law. Now law is the king, not king is the law. Law will be what is mentioned in the Constitution. Law is not colored by the wish or will or intention of the ruler, intention of the government. Simply put, when we say supremacy of the law, it means government is subject to law, not law is subject to government. What law will not be decided by the government. Government has to work under the confines of the law. Government has to work under the confines of the law. When we say government, this is one thing, but we can also say not only government, even the people have to work under the confines of the law. Moreover, law will be what is mentioned in the Constitution. It is not subject to the whims and fancies, the wish or will of the government. This is the meaning of supremacy of the law. In that system, law should reign supreme. It should be rule of law, not rule of men. A few people with their intention, with their interest, cannot define the law. Law should be based on the intention of the Constitution. If it is so, this is one fulfillment, you can say this is the fulfillment of one aspect of fulfillment of the concept of rule of law, that is, in that system law should reign supreme, nobody is above the law. Moreover, law is not colored by the intentions of the government. Law is having all the shades and colors of the what? Intentions of the constitution. Second thing, Dicey says there will be rule of law if there is equality before law, meaning thereby equal application of law to all. Law does not differentiate between citizen and citizen. Law does not differentiate between men and men, meaning thereby the benefit of law goes equally to everybody. If somebody has done something wrong, whether he is highly placed or lowly placed, whether he is a rich man or a poor man, whether he is whatever status, irrespective of his status or achievements, the law treats everybody equal. So if somebody has done something wrong, he shall be given the same punishment. There is no, you can say, there is no differentiation so far as application of law is concerned. This is very simple meaning of the phrase called equality before law, meaning thereby equality before law is implicit in the concept of rule of law. But is it the complete meaning of the phrase equality before law? What will happen, as I told you initially, what will happen if somebody does not have right kind of means to reach the court, to approach the court, whether it is educational achievements or economic means? If it is so, if the people because of their disabilities are not able to reach the legal system, will it establish rule of law? No. So second important thing, there should be equal accessibility as well. Not only equal application is one connotation of the phrase equality before law, there should be equal accessibility also. If some people are able to have the benefit of legal system and many people are not able to have the benefit of legal system, it means the rule of law is not established because there is not equality before law. Equality before law does not simply mean that equal application, it means equal accessibility also. If the conditions are such that a lot of hindrances are felt by those who are weaker to approach the court or have the benefit of legal system, then also there is no application of equality before law, and equality before law is not there. There cannot be fulfillment of the ideal of rule of law. This is second feature of Dicey's definition. What is the third one? Third one is, he says law is outcome or product of rights or liberties of the people. Meaning thereby that if law does not contain the rights and liberties of the people, then law does not fulfill its implied meaning in the phrase rule of law. Meaning thereby, whenever law is being framed by the lawmakers or the parliament, they should always keep into consideration the rights and liberties of the people. If by application of law, if the rights and liberties of people are getting trampled upon, they are violated easily, then also there will not be any rule of law. So law is outcome of, law is the product of what? Application or keeping into consideration of what? The rights and liberties of the people, which are protected by law and protected by courts also. As I told you, legal system should be such that if rights of somebody are violated, if his liberties are, you can say, trampled upon, he can approach the court, because court is savior. Court will give him remedy. Court will look into the issue, and court will definitely redress his grievance. So the rights or liberties of the people do not flow from the wish or will of the government. They are well protected and codified in the Constitution. We get our rights from the Constitution, not as per the wish or will of the rulers of the country. If these three conditions are met, that law is the outcome of the rights of the people, meaning thereby government is limited by what? Application of our rights. Our rights and liberties are what? Limitations on the government, not only on the government, also on the lawmakers. That is, whenever they frame law, the law should definitely contain within itself what? The consideration of rights and liberties of the people. If law does not take you towards that end, the law is not fulfilling its right kind of meaning so far as rule of law is concerned. As I told you, substantive aspect of law is very, very important. These three features have been mentioned by A.V. Dicey in his definition of rule of law. And if rule of law is established, has to be attained, then these three conditions should be met. Only then there can be good governance, and good governance ultimately takes citizens to complete well-being of all sorts. This is the intention of any good constitution. Moreover, A.V. Dicey's definition is one definition. There are good number of aspirations of the concept of rule of law. In a system which is following rule of law, another important consideration, in a system which is following the rule of law, if somebody has done something wrong, if somebody has committed a crime, the legal system should be tough enough. It should be, you can say, it should be tough enough so that the one who has done wrong should not remain scot-free, should not escape the application of law. If it is so, again it is not application of rule of law. Meaning thereby the breach of law, there should be guarantee of punishment if somebody has breached the law. Everybody should have respect for law. We should not say fear of law. Fear is a negative word. Everybody should have respect of law. Nobody should think that I can manipulate the law. Even if I do something wrong, I will use law in my favor and I can very, very easily bypass the application of law. If it is so, again there is no rule of law. So there should be respect for the law, meaning thereby if law is breached, there is guarantee of punishment for those who have done something wrong. At the same time, application of law should be such that those who are innocent should not get punished also. That is, punishment is given only for something wrong that is done by the people. This is also another consideration of the concept of rule of law. So if all these things are, you can say, are getting out of, or you can say you are getting in this political system, then only we can say there is the application of concept of rule of law. Many other connotations are there. It is rule of law, not rule of man. The governmental system, the governance should not be colored by those who are sitting in the status of power. It is colored by the intentions of the constitution. So this is in short what do we mean by the concept of rule of law. Hope you have understood in its entirety what do we mean by concept of rule of law. So thanks a lot for watching this video. Like it, share it and subscribe it. Thank you very much.